Good afternoon and welcome to the Embedded Executive Podcast. My name is Rich Nass. I am the Executive Vice President of Open Systems Media. I lead the Embedded Computing Design team, where we talk about everything and everything, anything and everything that an embedded developer needs to know. Today, we're going in the direction of healthcare. And my guest this week is Andrew Burt. He is the Director of Product Line Management for the Digital Healthcare Business Unit at Analog Devices. Andrew, how are you?
Hey, Rich, I'm doing good. Great to see you again, and thanks for inviting me on today. Looking forward to it.
Well, you are welcome. So we've actually been talking a fair amount about digital healthcare of late for lots of different reasons. Some of it has to do with power management, the ability to do wearables with really low power. Some of it has to do with artificial intelligence, the ability to do lots of things that we weren't able to do before. And some of it has to do with some of the regulatory bodies making things where the government will pay for stuff that consumers had to pay for on their own. So are all these things you're hearing as well? Are we going in the same direction with this?
Yeah, absolutely, Rich. I think the points that you mentioned there are super valid. I think underlyingly, kind of the problem that we're trying to address is really, the increase in healthcare costs. So, the growth that we're seeing year on year in healthcare costs is really outplaying inflation. It's currently at a cost of, $9 trillion, and it's just continuing to grow worldwide. So our view at ADI is that this whole healthcare business is really one of the next areas of revolution that's actually going to occur in the medical grade products that people will be wearing. But you pointed out, a couple of key things of other than just the wearables and how long they actually last on when you're on the body. So, power and battery technology. There's also the sensors that are built in there that can actually give you clinical grade measurements, the availability of those. And then what does it all mean when you're wearing something like that? So
Let me stop you right there, because that's actually a really good point. And what I was going to ask you before, but I'll hold it. Are these actual problems that we're solving, or are these problems that we're creating? So I'll let you noodle on that one for a second, but let's go back to the other thing about when we tie it all back together with the sensors and being able to pull things off the body that we weren't able to access before.
Yeah, so I think it's now we're seeing with our semiconductor technology able to really get clinical grade measurements on body. And so these are now, if you like, scooped up into some kind of wearable. We've seen transitions from wrist wearables to rings. As you know, Analog Devices introduced a chest patch health sensor platform 4.0 that has all of these vital signs kind of folded in it in a developer's kit for our customers to kind of evaluate. And I like to call it a developer's kit because we actually don't know all of the problems that people are trying to solve, other than the fact that you need to collect good, valid data.
I was actually just thinking about that. When you produce sensors and you produce a dev kit and you just put it out there and say, have at it, are people coming back with what you expected, or is it more of a, wow, I didn't think of that?
So we're actually experiencing kind of all of those experiences. So, for example, we find a lot of universities are interested in the kit, and they're looking to take the kit into use cases that we've never even thought of it. So that's our wow moment.
Like what, for example?
So there's a lot of
How do you like me
studies.
putting you on the spot like that?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think there's things in bioimpedance, so BioZ. So in our kit we measure BioZ. Traditional use case for BioZ is generally for respiration. You would be looking to measure the thorax impedance as your chest goes in and out changing, and you get breaths. That's you BioZ. However, ADI is really built.
Okay, hang on one sec. Hold on. You need to dumb this down for me.
Okay.
How do you do that?
So when you have electrodes connected to the body, so when you see a chest patch, it's generally stuck on the body. There are some electrical cables that are connecting to the body. And so this term bioimpedance, BioZ, is actually a sensor technology where you apply some small currents and you actually measure an impedance. And so as you imagine, when you breathe, your thorax cavity moves in and out. And so there's a physical movement that's going on there. And so there's an impedance change. So when you measure that impedance change.
An impedance change from what to what? I mean, because if you're moving about, how does it tell the difference between moving and breathing?
So those are some definitely the use case challenges that people are looking to deploy. So as you're probably aware, lots of medical equipment works when they say, now sit down, be calm, take some breaths, and let's make that measurement now.
Right.
And so what they're doing there in that use case is looking to cut out any of the interferers, if you like, that you mentioned. So people running, moving in a car or such like. But things like bioimpedance, as I say, traditionally used for respiration. However, you're basically measuring intercellular water. It's very complicated, but you can imagine the electrical signals going through the body is measuring cellular water levels. And so there's some of the universities are looking to use BioZ to investigate things like stress level. So I think it's pretty well known if you get stopped by the FBI and taken into some dark room somewhere, if you go for a lie detector test. So this actually is looking to measure changes in fluid. And so what usually occurs as you lie, you actually produce more fluids. So therefore, if you're able to measure the fluids, probably you're lying under stress. So now can you relate?
Lie as in fib?
As in fib, yes.
Well, that would work for me because I don't ever lie.
That's so true. Yes. I don't know how we would tell with you. But yeah, so that's just one small example of kind of the future uses of BioZ, taking it from.
How accurate is that?
So still work in progress, let's say. So generally the work that we see in universities, looking to, prove out theories, educate young engineers, young scientists, I would say. And that's why this developers kit is so useful for them to have access to kind of all of these modality measurements. So measuring different modes on the body and then producing their own analysis of that, presenting their paper, and perhaps when they go into industry, coming up with the next brand new company doing something really, really cool. So
are these kits also being distributed through industry as well?
100% yes. And so I think, like most semiconductor companies, Analog Devices, has good relationships with worldwide universities. We look to provide them these dev kits to work on their projects. We do the mentoring activity because these bright future people are good for our company, right? We might also employ them inside our company, and we might also look to support them as they transition into being a customer of us.
And at this point, is it mostly about the sensor technology? So
no. The kind of extrapolation I would like to say is that with the sensor technology and the developers kit, it's spooling all of this kind of activity. There's no conversation that can't exist now without AI. And so, you're collecting all of this fantastic data off body in different use cases, on body. And now what do you actually want to do with this, and how can it actually help you? So this is where we see AI within analog devices, we have a term intelligence at the edge. This is the area that we actually want to lead. It's marketing jingo, but it's kind of it's also a strategy. So to your point, lots of people are working not just on the sensor side, but then on what does all this data actually mean? And oh, I need an AI engine. And one other example I can give is that we've actually got with analog devices, a semiconductor company, FDA approval for a medical piece of equipment. So our Sentinel product was announced by the FDA. This is a heart failure piece of equipment. And again, that's full of ADI technology and ADI algorithms. And we're looking to solve a real world problem of looking to manage the quality of life of people with a chronic care situation.
Now, one of the issues that we're facing when you look at AI, it isn't the ability to extract the data. It's, oh my God, I got this huge amount of data. What the heck do I do with it? And in a medical application where you're pulling data in real time, that's an issue. How do you figure out what's your real data, what do you use, and what do you throw away?
100%. None of these problems are easy. My view, I've been in this industry much longer than everybody else on this call, and so I remember when the internet came along. Prior to that, we had laptop PCs, and then there was phones, and then we ended up with the smartphone. And nobody back then could envision the use case of the smartphone with the internet. I personally think that AI has the chance to do that in a range of different areas. I think the medical use case is absolutely one of the areas. To your point, it's a lot of data. The intelligence at the edge, you don't get any further on the edge than on a wearable on the body. We're collecting that data. We're working on that data. We're giving summation of that data. Then the product going up to a base station or up to the cloud. Then there's the need for analytics to crawl through that data, to look for AFib, to look for a range of other use cases. And then you've got to close the loop. You then got to feedback either to the doctor or to the patient something. So all of this cool data, it's great for us nerdy people, but in reality, it's got to bring a value. And that value can be in dollars, in saving in healthcare, and it could be in extending your life. Two pretty important things, I think.
We need to coin a new phrase. I don't want you to put these sensors on my chest and saying, oh, look, we're pulling in data from the edge. I'm not the edge. I'm a person. So we need to figure out what that is.
I'm sure we've got some smart minds that can work on those things. But, we'll invite them to the next call.
Absolutely. This is good stuff. And this is very clearly the starting point for analog devices and for the industry in general. This is really good stuff. So thank you, Andrew. I appreciate you taking the time.
Rich, it's great talking to you today, as always. So take care.
Thank you. That was Andrew Burke. He's the Director of Product Line Management for the Digital Healthcare Business Unit at Analog Devices. And I'm Rich Nass with Open Systems Media.